Hey there, this is Cooper from
Hello.
Telepathic Bunny Comics, and this right here is Matthew Fowler,
How's it going?
otherwise known as Sin Fowler the Link, or the stash, the mustache. Anyway, it's kind of your brand right now. Go lean into it, lean into it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I was when I looked at that PDF you gave me at Dixie Rose the other day. I was like, that Hammer guy looks kind of familiar.
Yeah, we had fun with that. Uh,
Yeah.
Self-insert, technically,
Right,
but
right.
my artist has never seen me
Oh,
in real life, and I didn't send any photo reference or anything. I just described a
yeah,
40-year-old private detective, and he drew me pretty much. It
right.
was really funny.
Oh, so that was sight unseen. That wasn't intentional. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, that
awesome.
was not from photo reference. It was just describing an alcoholic detective that was out of work in his 40s, and I said,
Oh.
give him glasses. Is my other thing, and yeah,
So it
that's it.
wasn't an I am not Starfire moment thing. It
No,
was
no,
is
happy
okay.
coincidence.
Right, right, right. Gotcha. Well, sometimes the best coincidences are the happy ones.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I've noticed kind of you do have a kind of with your writing, you do kind of have a action oriented aesthetic. You you definitely have a pacing to the way you write things. It seems to be intentionally tight.
hmm
Uh, you it's not that you don't have the character development and the things in there, but it's almost like the difference between Die Hard and Speed. You know,
hmm
you're more on the Speed side. Where everything happens in media res. It's an
That's
interesting style.
entirely budgetary. Like my books have
Right.
all traditionally
Hmm.
underperformed in budget and earnings, so you get X amount of pages with those amount of dollars. So you have to kind of really
Right.
trim the fat as much as possible,
Yeah.
without it
Yeah.
seeming deliberately trimmed. You
Hmm.
want the pace to feel like it was very intentional.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's not artificially sped up. It's just like you the the moment in time that you tend to pick or like when things are happening. Except for Seiko. Seiko was kind of had a slower pace until it
Yeah,
didn't.
that was supposed to feel like a opening episode of a TV series, or like a pilot of a
Ah,
60s TV series. And
right, right.
it pays off at the end and gives you like the action mode. Ultraman and all the tokusatsu
Yep.
Super Sentai stuff it was based on. There's
Hmm.
no Ultraman till the end of the thing, you know what I'm saying? And then he
Right.
transforms and has the big battle with the kaiju. And I kind of was
Hmm.
trying to mimic that pacing, with
Right.
Sideshow or Psycho
Right.
66. I call it Psycho because it sounds cooler.
Well, I had the Super SNES game. The
Yeah, Sha
Ultraman game.
Sha Sha. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good
I
one.
love that game.
Yeah, I actually beat it. It's one of the very few games I beat. I beat like 4 games in my entire life, and that was one of them.
I
Um,
rented that when it was out when I was a kid, on a Friday
mhm,
night. I rented Ultraman, like first few months the Super Nintendo was out, and there's no other
yeah,
fighting games or anything. And
mm-mm,
I mean, it
mm-mm,
was it was janky, but I had a lot of fun the weekend I rented it. So yeah, I have
yeah,
fond memories of that game for sure.
yeah. The backgrounds on that game were just gorgeous. I remember. I mean, that was like I think it was the first 16-bit console that I'd ever seen,
Mhm.
and the backgrounds was just like there's so much more they could play with, and they really played with it. Um, Well, how much you want to share of your bio? I usually make that optional if somebody wants to share how much they want to share. Is let
Oh,
people know who you
as
are.
far as like comic book experience or whatever, or
Well,
what?
just whatever you want to share bio wise. That's entirely up to you.
I guess as far as industry work goes, back when I was 18, I went to work at Atari, uh,
Oh,
Atari Time Warner Interactive, and then eventually they got bought by Williams Midway.
mm-hmm.
I was a game tester. I worked on Primal Rage and
Yeah.
Return Fire, a bunch of PlayStation games like Zero Divide
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Virtual Racing, stuff like that. And then I'd gotten promoted to I would rent a bunch of Japanese games and determine which games were viable to be translated into English cheaply and released through the Tengen Time Warner label. So I would go to the little Japanese market and rent a bunch of games when they'd come in every Friday and play them all weekend and, write all these reports on it. And then, turn it in on Monday. Then I got promoted to the arcade division where I would go. I worked over on the other side of the building in Coin Op, it was called. And, that's kind of a upgrade than working in the regular testing thing. And I was assigned on a few games and, Primal Rage 2 and Vicious Circle and a lot of fighting games were going on at the time. And Area 51. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that shooting game where you shoot all the stuff. I worked on that too. And, just played video games all day long. It was pretty fun hanging out there.
Yeah, not a bad gig, I would have to say. No, that sounds like a most gamers' wet dream, to be honest.
Then I moved to go to college in Illinois, away from California. And I ended up I went to art school and then dropped out after a couple months and ended up getting real heavy into music production and doing underground hip hop and sample based sequence production, with drum machines and stuff like that. And for a number of years, I would make beats and sell them and do like bumper music for the local radio stations, news reports and junk like that. And I did music for a number of years. And then once my kids were born, I became a full-time stay-at-home dad, take care of all the kids. My oldest son has autism, and I was specially trained back when I used to work for these systems of disabled people as activities coordinator. I went through all the training on how to deal with that stuff, how to handle outbursts without injuring people. You
learn
medical,
right?
Right. And then the medical training to distribute meds if I need to. I became med tech certified and all that stuff. And ended up not doing that as a job. But once my son was born, it was like, oh, well, I could find a job doing that and then hire someone with my skills to take care of my kid, or I could
take care of my kid. Yeah.
Right. So I've been that since 2009 when he was born. He's a ROTC Marine now with his license and, cybersecurity stuff. So we made a real turnaround and I feel like you couldn't have bought that, so I don't feel bad being the stay at home for so many years. And then in 2018, this kind of opportunity came up to be like, let's try making comics. So I kind of just went deep into that. Oh, while I was a stay-at-home dad, though, I also did a lot of arcade stuff. I would buy, sell, trade arcade games. I became a arcade repair technician. So I would get jobs where I'd go have to fix someone's monitor or fix, and drive around a certain amount of radius just doing repairs on arcade systems for a number of years.
Oh, okay.
And
that keeps you close to home, though.
Yeah. And that's how I made all my contacts in the fighting game community with all the arcade tournaments and stuff, was because I would always bring the cabinets, the big arcade cabinets they play on and stuff like that. That's how I know Phil Zaid and the arcade thing he works at and is all through that scene. But yeah, my history is mostly in video game stuff, not really any professional comic book stuff.
There is a lot of crossover, though. A lot of crossover.
I wish there was more. The crossover is one way. Comic book people play video games, but video game people do not buy comic books. I wish it was.
Which is kind of hilarious. The whole Gamergate, Comic-Gate thing, Comicsgate thing. They kind of like try to paint us as Gamergate 2.0, but there's not many people involved with Gamergate that cross over into Comicsgate.
Right, and really, Gamergate's ultimately. Gamergate's ultimately impotent because you can't just make video games, right? Whereas Comicsgate is, dude, we could take on the industry and make stuff as good as them or better just because you can afford to make a comic more than you can afford to produce, a AAA game or a Transformers Michael Bay level movie, or but you can make a AAA comic book even in this indie sphere.
Right, which makes us way more dangerous than Gamergate ever thought of being.
My theory is the comic books affect the culture, and then the culture affects the way that people vote, and you know what I'm saying? If you can capture their imagination, you can affect things downward. And I think that's why the SJWs, or whatever you want to call them, like kind of covet these titles like G.I. Joe and stuff like that so much, because they want to kind of take that and affect it downward, Well,
it's like Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream from culture.
Okay,
and if you change the culture, then you change the politics, and that's why they went. That's why Hollywood was such a powerful medium for the Democrats over the years. Because Hollywood like slanted everything slightly left until and the thing about it is, though, is they're losing their grip on the culture because
when they're going after Dave Chappelle, something's wrong. You understand?
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's like he could be about as left as could be. You know what I'm saying? And an icon and a powerful black man. And
he landed on the wrong side of. He landed on the wrong side of the whole Black Lives Matter thing when it first came out, and I was really disappointed in him. But he had a right to feel that way. But now they're coming after him, and it's like, have you not listened to this guy over the years? He's been on your side the whole, but it's like Joe Rogan's a leftist.
Yeah,
he's a libertarian.
He's target number one. The thing's skewed when it goes that bad, where they're attacking basically leftists.
Well, I think the shift happened when they stopped allowing conservatives to participate, or at least think they were participating. When they started like gatekeeping conservatives completely out of it, when they felt empowered. I think that happened during the Obama administration, where they started like saying, okay, rules for me, but not for thee.
Right. And, I think I noticed it culturally, like in maybe 2012, when that all new, all different Marvel line was released, and it was just a wide screen poster. And I was like, is this pop culture affirmative action? Like, what the fuck is going on with this poster? Because Marvel was so hot at the box office, and my kids were loving the movies, and they weren't wanting to go to the comic book store. There was no desire to buy the books, and even when I took them there, they didn't want anything off the shelf. It was just, and
nothing looked like what they saw in the movies. Nothing.
And I read all these comics for years, and I grew up with Storm with a mohawk as the leader of the X-Men with no powers. It's like after she'd lost her powers and had beat Callisto, and then had beat Cyclops in a Danger Room sparring match, and had won the leadership of the X-Men. My favorite run is the Silvestri run, where they're in the Outback as outcasts, and the team is more than 50% female. It's like, you can't tell me that I didn't have diversity in my comics already. It's weird that they came in demanding it when it's like it was always there. What I think they did is notice the movies, which were very popular and lucrative, which were whitewashed or whatever. I mean, Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Thor, that wasn't diverse. It's like they lost all their diversity to Fox or whoever they sold it to a long time ago. And it's like, well, you're doing these old ones that are, some of them even back to the golden age, like Steve Rogers and stuff. And it's like, of course they're not diverse. Your source material isn't diverse. Do the X-Men, but they, so they kind of created their own problem. They kind of created their own, because what those screaming, shrieking blue hairs mean is there's no diversity in these billion-dollar movie franchises. There's no diversity in these comics that have been diverse for years. So when they shriek on Twitter and cry about it and stuff, it just baffles me. I mean, my favorite, Daredevil run is Ann Nesenti. It's like, that's a woman, and she picked all the artists for my favorite X-Men run. She discovered Arthur
black woman.
Adams and all that
A
stuff.
black woman, by the way.
Like, yeah, I mean, and I don't like to make a big thing of it. I don't like to counter argue them with those points because it's just silly to me, that they value that stuff so much when organically it just happens if you're in a creative space anyway. So,
well, it's I look at them, I view them as locusts. They go where the sustenance is, or then their sustenance is power. And so anything that has cultural power for any period of time, because in the mid 90s to late 90s to early 2000s, video games was ruling the world, and suddenly, boom, they show up in video games and start changing everything in video games. And then what happened? The MCU hit, and these movies started making an impact in the culture, making billions of dollars, right out of the box. And suddenly, boom, they show up in Marvel, editorial, and suddenly all Marvel shit popped up. The first thing that did though was when they made Captain America say "Hell Hydra."
Oh, that was way later. That was in 2016 or 17, wasn't it?
No, that was before all Marvel, because that turned me off of Marvel and I walked away from it. And then when I came back, it was all new, all Marvel.
Yeah, and making Cap a sleeper Hydra agent was kind of a oof. Like
that was the Rubicon for me. There was no way back after that. I mean, there's no way to walk that back.
It was what is it? Clone Wars moment, like when Spider-Man boinked up with the and I even say it's almost like a one more day moment, for the Captain America franchise. I was such a fan of Cap during the Brubaker run, and
I loved it.
The whole Winter Soldier storyline and Falcon and that. And I don't like that they made Falcon Cap. I think that's actually walking back because Falcon was good as Falcon. Like Falcon was just a great character.
He's badass
already.
He was unmitigated
how are you gonna
badass as Falcon?
Throw a shield when you're carrying your wings? You're like, your wings are on your arms. How do you carry? It just doesn't make sense. It seems stupid.
Bucky was an awesome Captain America. He was.
I love Bucky Cap. I'm in the school of Bucky Cap. And I love Dick Grayson as Batman when he was with Damian for that run.
Oh, that was awesome. That was an awesome run. I got Black Mirror sitting over there on my shelf. That was really incredible.
I'm all about legacy identities if they're handled right. Like I like when the Captain America was passed down to Bucky. That made sense. And I like when the Batman was passed to Dick Grayson. Like that made sense. This random girl from Jersey that's Miss Marvel, like, and it's got Reed Richards powers, like it doesn't hit right,
No, it's because there was no build up to it. It was suddenly like, this is who you have to root for now, because honestly, you have to root for him.
This might be controversial around here, but I love Miles Morales. I like that. I'm not against Miles. I like Miles. He's been around a long time, though. It's like he didn't just pop out. And
he's a Bendis character, so he has to carry that with him,
right?
But the fact
I was a huge Bendis fan during Daredevil. I was a huge Bendis during Daredevil. I loved Bendis's run on New Avengers too. I was real big into the first like 20 or so issues of that run.
Well, he was fine for a long time, and then he adopted that little black girl, and then suddenly he was like just twisting everything to kind of like I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, but
I think things change a little bit when you become a parent. Your worldview changes, and even if you're an adoptive parent, you're still a parent. You still get up, change the diapers, walk, drive to school, all that goes with it. And he probably saw his daughter's face and all those Marvel movies and felt like, like she's not being represented,
Right.
But it's not really for her to be represented either. It wasn't for him to force in there, but I understand where the thought would have come from. I would have just created a whole new character that fits that, instead of worrying about leaning into getting Iron Man's outfit from him or whatever ended up happening with the stuff.
But Ironheart, Yeah.
Well, and then he
Well,
made that same character over at DC that's basically Ironheart, but over
yeah.
at DC. And it's like, dude, stop forcing that. Like, if
Right.
that comes
Right.
up organically, like, let it, but don't try to rewrite everything just to fit into that.
Well, we were talking about how organically Marvel like created some of these iconic characters. You know, it was just Stan Lee sitting in the back, "Oh, let me think about this, I want a blind superhero." Okay. Well, what's a blind superhero entail? Okay, well, he's blind, blind justice. Oh, courtrooms. Why don't we make him a lawyer? Oh, okay, let's make him a lawyer. Yeah, a blind lawyer. It's like, what's his thing? Okay, well, he's going to be. Let's make him Catholic. Okay, what's scary to a Catholic? Oh, devil. So we'll make him a devil. Yeah. He's a daredevil. How about a daredevil? Yeah, and well, those daredevils are fearless. Man without fear. Yeah, and the alliteration name Matt Murdock, MMM. And it's just this formula over and over again. Matt Murdock, Stephen Strange, Peter Parker,
Reed
you know,
Richards.
Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you start seeing these patterns, you start like, he had a thing that he was doing, but there's like this pattern with these characters, but you can just tell, you can see the progression of thought. Okay. All right. I want a wizard in the Marvel universe. Okay. Who's a wizard? And who's the closest thing we have a wizard? A doctor, a doctor like heals people. Okay. All right. What I need to give him something like a challenge. Okay. Well, what would be the worst thing that ever happened to a doctor? Oh, lose his hands. So a doctor can't use his hands anymore. Okay. Well, he can't use his hands, and he's a man of science, and they're telling him he can't heal his hands. So what's he going to do? He's going to look for something outside of science. So what's the only thing outside of science? Magic. Okay. I mean,
I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the bullpen back then in the
yeah.
60s, hearing all these things being
Yeah.
pitched.
Well, that's the thing, though. You can tell there's a logical progression of thought that with the invention of these characters, But then you look at these characters that they created, quote created, i.e., repurposed or whatever, and you can just like, okay, what's the most important thing about them? Their skin color.
Well, yeah, but also like a lot of these characters like really don't work on paper, but they're playing the long game, because if they can get them on paper long enough to get them in the movies and in the movie series, they do work, because like the Hawkeye series was awful in the comics, really, but the TV series was really good. Kate Bishop, lesbian or whatever, what's it called, where they take the role of a hero, pre-established hero or whatever, the mantle, like Falcon and Captain America. She takes the Hawkeye mantle, but it ended up working for me. Like the Hawkeye TV series, I was really liked. I was eager to tune in every week, and Kate Bishop's personality really came through with a cute actress being pleasant and funny. You know what I'm saying? It's like they can do that more if they do the long game and get it into the shows and stuff. They can really sell these characters a little more and get them a more rabid fan
Kate
base.
Bishop's been around a long time.
Yeah.
She predates a lot of this woke nonsense, and so it didn't surprise me that she. I mean, you have the Young Avengers. I'm so shocked that they've never really done anything with the Young Avengers, because the Young Avengers seems like it would be custom made for this, and what we were talking about, me and my friend Aaron Jordan, just happens to be black, but it's neither here nor there.
No.
But we were talking about, you have this whole brand with Isaiah Bradley and his son his grandson Eli, got a direct line to somebody who had the super soldier formula, and then here's this kid named Patriot.
Yeah, Patriot's cool. Especially those David Finch drawings of Patriot and stuff.
Yeah.
Man,
I loved his uniform. His uniform was badass. And the original Captain America shield with the and it looked great.
And is Patriot related to
Mhm.
that original Black Captain America that
Yeah,
they added?
he's his
Okay,
grandson.
yeah. I
Yeah, his
remember
grandson.
that stuff.
So you had a lineage there, you had a background, you had all that, and they dropped the character. They've never done anything with him. As a matter of fact, they replaced him with this other black character rather than use him. And I've never figured
Mantle
out
swap
why
and
didn't they
put
yeah.
Falcon in, right? Yeah.
Why didn't you, instead of mantle swapping Falcon, why didn't you have this like great mentor relationship with Falcon and make this kid like the Captain America?
Yeah.
It writes
And the
itself.
reverse, it reverses the roles where Falcon's the mentor and Captain America's
Right.
the kid. Perfectly organic diversity that no one would have argued or raised an eyebrow. Yeah.
No.
It's the
No.
forced weird
Mm-mm.
stuff.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
America Chavez was out, the gay Iceman was out,
Mhm.
they were the Riri Williams, they were just doing it. The
Yeah.
Lady Thor, it wasn't like one or two experiments. It was like they just flipped
Mm-mm.
a switch on the whole line. It was weird.
Yeah. And you're just supposed to accept it, and just like back it. And then when people didn't back it, there's like they suddenly turned on the fandom.
Yeah.
That's when they really turned on the fandom, is when people were just like, no, we're not. This is not Marvel. I don't know what this is, but this isn't Marvel. And rather than say, oh, okay, my bad, we need to figure out how to fix this, they're like, well, you're wrong. And around this time it was 26, that was like 2016 Ghostbusters when that came out.
Yeah.
And they turned on the fandom and said, you're wrong for not liking this movie. And that was the very first time I'd ever seen that happen, where it
They
was
raised
like,
the real
oh, we
stink on
made
that. I remember.
yeah. Yeah, and it was like, oh, we've made a mistake. We need to fix this. No, it was the fans are the mistake, and the arrogance of that, and this it's just continued to this day. But then you see Ghostbusters Afterlife come out,
Mhm.
and I went to see that movie, and I'm not gonna lie, it brought me to tears because it was so respectful to the IP, respectful to the material, and but then I was like, when that took off and people went and saw that movie and loved that movie, all the
Mhm.
2016 people were like, "But wait a second, why didn't you like her?" You know, and it's
Well,
like
I
if
took
you
my
can't
whole
see,
family to see the
uh-huh,
modern Ghostbusters. The one that
yeah,
just came
yeah,
out was it Resurrection or
Afterlife,
Afterlife. That's it.
yeah,
And they all loved it. They had a great time.
mm-hmm,
They went to see the Spider-Man movie, and everyone
yeah,
loved it. And
awesome,
the last movie before that we all got to see together was Sonic the Hedgehog. Right before
yeah,
everything
right,
shut down, and they
same
loved
thing happened,
that.
yeah,
It was like, so they're still making stuff that families can like, but that
yeah,
Ghostbusters, the all female one from 2016 or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
I took all the kids to see that one when it came out, and
mm-hmm.
they hated it. And I didn't tell them to hate it, and I'm sure as
No,
children they
no.
don't know why they hated it, but they did.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is I'm one of the few human beings that put myself through the torture of watching that thing more than once, and I even watched the expanded version because
More
I
torture.
know. Why did I do that to myself? I was like, oh, I might as well just put a gimp mask on and a ball gag here. Why am I doing this to myself? But the thing about it is I wanted to know. I thought it was important to know why this is bad. Know why why they're pushing this and why people are not liking this. And the thing that I finally figured out, through all the torture I put myself through, and like, oh, they're dancing again, yay, but the thing about it that I finally figured out was because they were like saying, this is the IP, you have to like it because it's the IP, not because it's good, not because we're doing a good job with this, but because this is the IP. We have control of it, and whatever we want to do with it, you have to support it.
Yeah.
And people felt that They felt like something was being held hostage, and that they were like basically doing whatever they wanted to with it in front of you, and then telling you had to like it. And
then they'd scream at you like, you only hate this 'cause girls. And it's like, no, we hate this on many levels. Like, you're just saying we hate it 'cause girls, you know?
Right. We hate it, but by the way, Afterlife, lead character, a little girl.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if, like I said, it's never about what they say it's about, you know. It's never. And see, it sounds silly when you categorize it like that. When you try to match them on their playing field of like defining people by these things and like increasing their value or decreasing their value because of these things that you can't control. They're just how you're born. Like, that's where they get weird. It's like, of course there's diversity in our stuff. Why wouldn't there be? The fact that you brag on it is like setting us back decades, because it's like we were told to ignore race and to be friends with everyone and to judge everyone equally. And this myth of equality, instead they're doing this new thing of equity. And it's like an aggressive like attack against people instead of like a cooperative, like, let's all accept each other. It's more Magneto now. These SJWs are Magneto, when back in the day we were Xavier. You know what I'm saying? We like wanted humans and mutants to get along, like, and they want humans and mutants to be divided.
They want subjugation. They want subjugation.
Mutants to be a protected class that can openly oppress humans or whatever. But I mean, I'm just a flat scan, so, you know, I wouldn't worry about my opinion.
Well, my best illustration of equity, and I've used this several times in my shows, but there's a picture of three people looking over the fence at a baseball game, and they've got a tall guy
with the boxes.
See over the fence. With the boxes. But and you got the shortest guy who's on two boxes. The next tallest guy is on one box, and the tallest guy can see over the fence. Well, that's equality. That's equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome, but equality of opportunity. What they're talking about, the next picture, is the other two that were taller had their legs cut off, and they're trying to stand on stumps, and nobody can see over the fence. Because what equity means is equality of outcome.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to cut people off to the lowest common denominator. And that way everybody loses. You know, there are no winners, everybody loses. Now, what that means is basically, what people don't understand is they're not in that picture.
Right.
They're not in the picture. They're inside the fence of the baseball game. They're not even that picture. They're just demanding that these changes be made to suit whatever agenda that they want, and they're cutting people off, you know, so they'll be equal with this guy, so this guy won't feel bad, you know, in their heads, but they don't know these people. They're just making these assumptions from the outside because they're on the other side of the fence,
right?
You know, and they're inside the fence. They're the privileged ones. They're the ones that have it, you know, and they're demanding equity for people that they don't even understand. But what they don't understand is that equality of outcome is meritocracy, and meritocracy is diversity, because there is awesome in all races. There is awesome people in all races, and the cream is going to rise to the top. And we don't have to look at skin color. We don't have to look at, you know, whatever sexual proclivity or whatever they want to talk about. But, well, the bottom line is, can you do the job? You can do the job to a high level. You get hired. Don't care what.
Declaring your sexuality is another weird thing for me. It's like, no, you don't walk around talking about how you like to fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I like to fuck like this. What are you gonna do about it? It's like, why are you telling motherfuckers that? Like, why does that matter? Why is that private? Like, why is that not private? You know what I'm saying? I never understood the open declarations of these things that are actually
says the guy with the porn stash.
Right, but you don't know how I don't declare how I get down. You know what I'm saying?
I'm kidding. Yeah, that is odd. That is odd. It's just that's just a breakdown of trying to break down social mores or whatever.
Right.
But it is what it is. When it comes specifically to writing, do you have like a something that you saw once upon a time that made you want to learn how to write?
Oh yeah, hang on, let me grab it.
Oh, sure, no problem.
I picked this up when I was maybe 13.
Wow, yeah.
And I think it includes a colorized reprint of what I believe is Leonardo #1. Right, from the first TMNT run, the black and white run.
Yeah,
and this Christmas story of the Turtles with Splinter at home decorating the tree while that's like juxtaposed with Leonardo out on the streets kind of training and then getting jumped by like thousands of foot soldiers, right?
Yeah.
And then ending with these two simultaneous stories, like connecting with Leonardo being thrown through the window into the Christmas tree, and then the foot soldiers attack the whole family or whatever. It was just, it was awesome. I wanted to make comic books when I saw that. It's like, I want to make these. These are the most epic, things I've ever seen. Because I had been seeing the Ninja Turtles cartoons or video games or whatever, looking kind of fruity and kind of kiddish, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
they nerfed it. They nerfed it a lot.
And then seeing that real deal, it just hit me different, and it was really, a little bit life changing, I guess. It changed my view of things.
Yeah, I can see that in Tyger Blue. I see that in a lot of Tyger Blue from the stills and everything. But yeah, that's do you have like do you feel like there's a strength to your writing that you really think you've got nailed down?
I would say the biggest strength to my writing is like my absolute lack of any formal training or any schooling or anything like that. I think that keeps me free of learned bad behaviors or tropes that are just kind of instilled in people in the school system. And I just kind of base my knowledge off of diving into the stuff I've read for 30 years plus. It's like monkey see, monkey do a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I'm not formally trained either. I consider that a strength too. Yeah, I've been in creative writing classes, and I was fortunately to be in a good one. But she told us that if you ever go to a creative writing class and the professor tells you this is the right way and this is the wrong way, get out of that class as soon as possible. Because they don't know anything about writing. There is no right, no wrong way. There is only your ability to get it down on paper in whatever way is true to you and your skill allows for. And that was like very kind of impactful to me. There is no right, there is no wrong way. Just go, just do, and if anybody like criticizes it or whatever, there's some technical criticisms that people can make, on grammar and things like that. But and yes, writing, there is good writing, there is bad writing. It's not a neutral thing. There is good writing and there is bad writing. But anybody that tells you that there's a right and a wrong way for you to do so, to work with that creative process, then they are lying to you, because there is not. You got like some people that wrote voluminous like books, and then you got people like they wrote Ulysses, the guy that wrote Ulysses, who did like one 4 words a day or something like that. You remember the old joke? What is his name? Oh gosh, famous author wrote Ulysses. I can't recall his. This is but But he told somebody one day, he's like, "Well, how goes the work?" He's like, I wrote 4 words today," and they're like, "Oh, for you, that's pretty good." He's like, "Yeah, but I don't know where they go, you know."
That's a good one.
So, James Joyce,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So he might have produced 1 book in his entire lifetime, you know. But whatever's good for you, you know. What would you say is a weakness, something that you constantly feel like you have to work on and shore up?
I would say that is also my complete lack of any formal training or experience in the
Right.
field.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the ins and outs or idiosyncrasies,
Right.
sorry, of
Yeah. Yeah.
how writers behave with each
Hmm.
other, how you're supposed to approach publishers or potential working partners, and I knew none of the official behaviors or etiquette
Hmm.
of anything. So I can probably come off really brash or
Hmm.
like just loud and dumb maybe or whatever. I, I'm very straightforward with what I ask for and kind of do it, and there's a certain
Yeah.
flowery ness that more seasoned people who have been formally trained
Hmm.
have down that I don't have in my style at all.
Yeah. Have you ever been diagnosed as being on the scale at all? Uh,
No, I
the
haven't, but my
spectrum.
my oldest son is autistic, so
Yeah. Right.
you
Right.
know they always start talking around the family. Well, your dad's
Hmm.
always been kind of spurgy, or whatever. So I'm not sure.
Well, I'm a borderline Asperger's myself, and that does, that does affect me in some ways. Being able to read cues and things like that.
Right,
Uh,
right.
that's that's I mean that's not an accusation. It's just like observation, really. But I honestly, I've dealt with mentally handicapped adults and things like that, and I find people who are supposedly mentally handicapped adults the most honest people you can ever meet, and then even the ones that were nonverbal were more honest than people I was dealing with when I was working there.
Right, right.
Because I yelled at this lady one time. I was like, they're mentally handicapped. I don't know what your excuse is. They can pull feces out of their diaper and throw it at me, and I'm like, I know, oh, you're upset, but you're just gonna tell me you're fine and then run to the balsa man on me. And I
Right.
was like, they're a lot more honest than you are. That Anyway, that's one of my dark days, working for the state. Anyway,
Oh,
never
believe me, I
again,
know.
never
I've
again.
worked in facilities and was an activities coordinator for a number of years. I know about all that kind of thing.
Oh
The
man, the
bad
backbiting and
behaviors and that type of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, women would call for male help, and then they would sit there with their pads, waiting for them to screw up once,
Yeah.
and then report somebody that they knew was in the area that didn't come running when they called for male help. I mean, it was nastiness. It was nonstop nastiness, and that was in 2000.
Yeah, it's a
I
crazy
can't.
deal. I
It
prefer
must be the
working
12th circle of hell now.
I
I
worked
don't know
third
how you
shift
work there.
a lot when I did there, when I picked up shifts and mostly
Hmm.
sleeping. Now I have to deal with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
And a
yeah.
lot of I was med tech certified, so I was the guy who did all the medications in the mornings. And
Hmm.
some
Yeah.
people don't really always want to take their medicine in the morning, so
No.
that hostile behaviors and acting out that you're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's that, but they're honest. They're honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't turn my back on you because yeah, you'll come up behind me. I have to watch you. But but you got these ladies who are just like, "Oh, you're just I just love working with you," and then to the boss man as soon as you're out of earshot. I mean, it's
Karens.
just
We call them Karens.
the Karens, yeah, they're called Karens now. But I swear I saw. I went to a store, a dollar store this morning to, it's the best place to buy toilet paper. Good toilet paper, but you can buy it cheap. But anyway, uh, And that lady was just so harried when I was walking out the door because she's all completely by herself. And I went out to my car, and this SUV drove in, and the woman that got out of it had the dangly earrings and frosted hair, and just like grasped her purse and went in. And I was like, "Oh dear Lord, Lord, please, 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 that poor lady in there, she's gonna have to deal with this because you could just see Karen just pouring off of her." I
Right.
was like, "Oh Lord, you just see it coming, just see it coming." Anyway, so we're gonna talk a little bit about your current project, if you don't mind. I was gonna bring that up. I got it on your Indiegogo.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
just let's see. There it is. You got like 30 things you got to check just before you can do anything. That drives me crazy.
Looks like
All
we're up
right.
207 backers. Got about
Yeah.
$11,500 so dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into the last 9 days.
Yeah.
Doing great. The community's been real receptive. We had a
Mm-hmm.
great launch over on Bancroft's stream, and I've been making some appearances since then, and people
Yeah.
seem genuinely interested. So I'm
Oh, it's
riding
gorgeous.
high on this one.
Yeah. 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 Let me go ahead and we'll play this trailer right quick.
Nice.
Let me.
1935, Chicago, Illinois. Early elements of the Axis powers are secretly working together to develop the ultimate bioweapon. Ferocious beasts created by German occult science, trained by dark samurai, and used by the mafia as lethal enforcers. When Tyger realizes how truly disposable he is, he rebels against his masters. Forced to fight his brothers, Tyger's struggle for vengeance and survival is about to begin. With an authentic retro video game in the works, toy, and poster art by the legendary video game box artist Tom Dubois, you'll want to get your claws on Tyger Blue. Back in now.
That's incredible.
It's exciting. I'm really glad the trailer turned out like that. It was pretty good.
Who did your trailer?
His name is Tobor Prime.
Mm-hmm.
He's a musician, video game developer.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a platformer called Savage Sword of Gozen that's on Steam. He did my Prospectors trailer.
Yeah.
Xenotype, he is where I found him from. He does a really good Toonami anime voice, from the announcer type voice. And he did the Wonder Island trailer. And I reached out to him again for Tyger Blue and see if he could bring back his anime announcer voice and hook it up.
Yeah, that sounded very anime announcer voice. That did. Very Dragon Ball Z.
And Tobor actually is working with us on the video game as well. He did the music for the game. He's a chiptune artist. They call it that. They replicate the 16-bit video game sounds and stuff. So yeah, he's a great guy. Check him out, Tobor Prime.
Okay, cool, awesome. The Child of the 80s bundle seems to be the most popular for obvious reasons. Comic book, digital comic book PDF, poster, action figure, and the video game for $50 USD. That's a hell of a deal there.
We're very lucky. There's a lot of talented people around here, so we were able to get the action figure designed and 3D printed by Steve Woyster, that Star Wars boy of the CG News and Reviews. He's been working on his Killian project, his own comic book, and an entire line of action figures for that project. He's a former comic book store owner that had a shop right next to Kenner. So when Kenner went under, he got all kinds of Star Wars prototypes and stuff from them, and made his bones selling rare Star Wars stuff. And he became really focused on those Kenner designed action figures, and got a ton of 3D printers in his basement and started making his own. And I really liked what he was doing, so I approached him and to see if he could come up with a 80s style, authentic looking, just like a Superpowers toy or a Star Wars toy right out of the 80s for Tyger Blue. And he really stepped up and made it happen. So I was lucky to get up with him.
Yeah. Is he involved with the Mavericks project?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
The only thing he has is the Killian Valiant or something.
Right. Gotcha. And this is the Game Boy cover, but it's not the game is actually there's a code in, but the
game is actually designed in Unreal, like most modern games are.
Right.
And it's a downloadable code. It's for PC only, but it is one complete level. So you get one full fight, and it's got blocking and projectiles and counterattacks and everything in a Mike Tyson Punch Out style of game. So
I love Mike Tyson Punch Out. Yeah.
I noticed a lot of people never did anything like that, in that 3D over the shoulder perspective of a fighting game.
Right.
And Zaid brothers, who have their own campaign called Beckoned, with a video game called Beckoned. Their role-playing game is in that same perspective. So when the sword swings at the slime or the Gorgon or whatever, it's in that same way. And I approached him. I said, like, hey, can you do just one level of this as like a Mike Tyson's Super Punch Out kind of fighting game thing? And he's only the art guy. He had to talk to his brother, who's the programmer, and they worked it out and were able to put together a level for me. And it's really fun playing.
Awesome. I noticed the glow in the dark crack rock accessory.
That's for our boy D-Wag of the Crack Pack. I don't know if you've seen him. Of course. And Crack Planet, he carries around his glowing salt lamp, and since this project was entirely created in the Crack Pack and done with Crack Pack members, I thought, what better accessory for the action figure than a little piece of Crack Planet, a little glow in the dark.
Oh, obviously, that is so cool. This is the Dubois book cover.
Yeah, the game cover. Yeah, the two-sided poster that comes with the Child of the 80s bundle. Yeah, and it's got art
the other side.
Game. Yeah, and that's our other side of it. It's by my Dixie Rose artist, Ricardo.
Oh, that's Black Terror. I noticed that. Who else is the other two?
It's Kid Terror, Black Terror's sidekick.
Kid Terror.
And that's Dynamic Boy, which is Dynamic Man's sidekick, and that's Bullet Dog from the Bullet Detective family. These are my answer to the Super Sons. Like since Super Sons destroyed.
I love the Super Sons, man. I love that book.
My kids grew up reading those with me. Got 2 or 3 really good volumes of it, and it was an awesome adventure comic. And they kind of destroyed it. They aged up a 10-year-old boy, made him into a full, ad for the LGBTQ community, and really decimated a really good family comic that was
the desecration of Super Sons was really heartbreaking for me, because I love that comic. Me and my brother, we used to terrorize the neighborhood together, and they reminded me of us too. We got into so much trouble.
And I felt that need, a void to be filled there. It's like, I could take these public domain characters and do a Super Sons flavor kind of adventure book. So that's what Tyger Blue Volume 2 is. Golden Age, it's called, and it's basically a Super Sons style adventure stories.
Awesome. Tell me that he's got this on his collage now, because that is awesome as hell. I love that.
I have to get him to add it to it. It's getting pretty crowded.
You do. It's crowded, but I love looking at it. I mean, it's like there's something cool everywhere you look. I mean, Charlie's can get on there. Surely you can,
Right. And a lot of people worry about, like, oh, my book didn't fund, or I didn't, get enough eyes on it. And I always, when I feel those moments, I always look at that collage and remind that there's thousands of us. You know what I'm saying? And we all have the dream, and we all want to get seen, and we're all, but at least we're all getting to make our stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like there may be a lot of us, but at least we're getting to do it. So, you know.
Well, here's your art trading cards, is there?
Yeah, I do when I have design work done up, sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 different artists maybe draw the same cover until, you know, we get the right look on it. And this is just a bunch of the development art. I figured I'd release it as a trading card set with a bunch of behind the scenes info on the back of the cards, you know, so kind of like a making of book, but instead of a making of book, it's a making of trading card set. This is the idea I'm going for with this.
This is the Art of Zoo written by Mike Barron. This is he's the one that drew it. This is gonna be cool. So this is like a stretch goal.
Yeah, if we hit the 20K goal, that 20-page story of Captain Battle, Tyger Blue will be shipped with Tyger Blue 1 as a floppy. And if we don't hit that stretch goal, that story will be folded into chapter 1 of the sequel and go that way.
Awesome. So it's going to see the light of day. It's definitely seeing the light of day. Here's your this is your catch up tier. All the add on to your previous. That's a good idea.
Yep, and those have actually been selling like hotcakes. I sold 25 copies of Dixie Rose on this campaign.
Awesome.
So and we only sold 100 copies of Dixie Rose on the original one on Indiegogo. So it's about 25%, you know, of what we did last time just on the add-on tier. So,
well, I think Dixie Rose is kind of a book that may not have appeal as like a main book, but it's a great add-on book. You know, it looks like a kind of a pin-up book that for it doesn't. I don't know how strong it would be as a primary tier, but it looks like if this is like an addition to something else, it's a hell of an enticement. You know, because you look at it, you think how you're not sure how shallow it is because it's like boob babes everywhere, you know.
Right.
But and that's not that's not like appealing like a primary tier to everybody. But if it's like, well, while I'm here, you know, while I'm here, I might as well pick up boobs. You know, I mean, it's great add-on.
Since that deal was like a combined project with the actual real strip club Dixie Rose, a majority of our sales on that book come from the dancers at the club who sell it to patrons and you know, like kiss it and autograph it and, you know, kind of sell it. So that moves more copies like in the brick and mortar club than it does it online for sure.
That's pretty brilliant. I'm not gonna lie. That I always thought that was just genius. Anyway, so you I let you put me on the hot seat. Do you have any questions for me, or is there a question that you wish I'd asked that I didn't?
What's your favorite book coming out in Comicsgate that you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm gonna say it's kind of become a tie. I think between Tyger Blue and Terror in the Trenches. So, I'll. You know, I definitely like both of those IPs. They just really appeal to me. They're both kind of in the same vein in a way. You know, the World War II kind of era, you know, shenanigans ensue kind of thing. You know, which is my bag. You know,
actually wrote a chapter in the Tyger Blue sequel, writing the Kid Terror character. Yeah, so
man.
It should be cool. It's not necessarily connected, but because the Terror doesn't have his sidekick in Terror in the Trenches, right? But in my story, in my story, all the heroes are off fighting World War II, while the sidekicks are at this Xavier's school type place where they're being protected from fighting in the war. So it could be a sidekick. It couldn't be. It's written by Vaughn. Both of them are. You know, it's just a way to share universes without all the legal entanglements of sharing a universe. You know,
right. But you had me at written by Vaughn. So
it's an amazing story. It's got a Phantoma, the jungle queen who controls animals and stuff, is the villainess of it. And
okay,
did a great job. It's
there's a lot of great characters just laying around, you know, that nobody's using anymore. I've looked through that myself. I haven't found one yet that appealed to me. I think my own world kind of has me kind of like completely, totally enthralled at the moment. So I got to get this guy out to the people. You know, they got to know who that is. You know,
right.
So I think if when I get that launched and get that, maybe I'll look at some of this other stuff. But the thing about it is honestly, you can't go wrong right now. There's so many projects out there, just gorgeous. I'm still. I need to pick
American Way. Looks really good. The Gabe Altaib book. That looks like a Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, but it's like a cop, an Egyptian queen, and like a Colossus kind of dude. That looks really good. He's doing the same thing with the heroic trilogy that I'm doing with the Super Sons. You know, they boink up Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Make your own. You know, I like that.
Well, I really need to get a hold of Arc Athena. That's like my next book. I'm really kind of want to get my hands on.
That was my pick for book of the year 2021, man. Eric Canetti freaking killed it on Arc Athena.
Well, I want to get it for the story. I mean, the art's incredible, but I just love that premise of night shift, day shift. You know, get the characters that actually do the work. Because I work at third shift at a factory. You know, the first shift gets all the glory and all the accolades, and they don't do crap. And third shift gets none of the glory and none of the support, and they wind up doing most of the work. So anybody who's dealt with that is like, this is my book. I need to get a hold of this. Also, some of that also at Iconic. I'm looking forward to seeing Long Harbor 2 come out.
I don't know if that will happen. Did you hear the news, Alejandro?
Yeah, I saw
ID software. That's big time.
Yeah. It's I was like, when I saw that, my heart fell. I'm like, I'm happy for you, Alexander, and
he'll be designing
you, but
he'll be designing Doom. He'll be working on Doom. It's gonna be
awesome.
I know he did the artwork for the cover of my first book. The original cover to Sideshow 66 is the big painting of the kaiju and the hero floating in space. I was lucky enough to hire him back when he was working on Long Harbor, and dude is an amazing talent of like the highest degree.
Well, I think he's very underrated as a writer because Long Harbor just stuck with me. Man, it stuck with me.
Felt like a Carpenter film, like a John Carpenter film or something.
Oh, it's very, very Thing-esque. I mean, but adding that little girl in just this, and the whole dynamic just murdered me. It's odd. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that book because it like when I read it, it haunts me, but I love the quality of it. I love the writing in it. It's just a chunk of quality. I mean, it's just, it's like Monster MD. You got books that are, the visuals are there and the writing is there, and it just elevates it to another level. And that's really what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm sorry. Image, the first generation Image has its proponents, but I don't see people doing like fan arts of those characters because they just faded away because the stories weren't there. I mean,
nobody
the writing
cares about Cyberforce today, or nobody's talking about Youngblood today. I understand.
Right. But
it didn't have staying power, really. It was more of its time, I'd say.
Well, so what I'm looking for, and I think what you got, one of the reasons why I'm real excited about Tyger Blue is because I think you got the writing as well as the art. And Jose Garcia, I mean, he did Luminous Vox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he works fast and he has this fluidity to what he does. It's just it's like everything just flows like quicksilver from panel to panel to panel.
Yeah.
Luminous Vox wasn't my thing, so I didn't back it, but I'm really looking forward to this, to see his work in this. I'm sure you were looking at the dailies going,
oh yeah. Any project I've worked on, getting pages for Tyger Blue is by far the most exciting. It's just like it does something to me when I get those, and especially when they're the finished pages with all the lighting and duotone and zipatone effects on it, and it's just like, and it really hits me for sure. It's great.
So what was with the choice of going black and white? Was that because original the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kind of like an homage to that?
Well, budgetary. As far as colors are expensive, and I don't. At some point, I had to accept that I'm not performing financially on a level that can warrant spending double the budget to accommodate getting colors, because it's not just paying for the colors. Printing of the colored stuff is also an increased price too. So, and not only that, but most importantly, production time is greatly affected by colorists. Colorists will do 5 pages and disappear for 2 weeks, or you know what I'm saying, type of situation. They're almost as temperamental as artists can be. Yeah. And not only that, they subcontract half their work to a flatter. So if their flatter disappears, you're held up, right? So because I'd underperformed so many times, it just really wasn't in the budget to accommodate for coloring. So I designed the book to be in black and white, and picking Jose as the artist because of these effects that he can do in the black and white space was vital, just for a budget standpoint.
Let me throw this out to you. What if the only thing you color was the tiger?
I floated that. I was Billy Basco is a colorist who is on the team and was involved in the logo design and stuff. And he's talking to me about color. And I was like, well, I thought about just coloring the Tyger Blue, like the Sin City comic book, A Girl in a Blue Dress. And then it's like, would that be too on the nose, Frank Millery? And then you lose the benefit of the lowered cost in printing, because even with just the one splash of color on each page, it still counts as printing a whole colored book. So,
well, once you make it a stretch goal,
still have to pay for the printing on that, and ultimately, coloring a black and white book that was designed to be black and white will not yield the results the customer who's wanting a colored book will get. You know, they are customers, so they don't necessarily understand why it won't work. But when they get it, they'll be like, this doesn't work. You know, like Xenotype, right? That was should have just been black and white. Odie did all the duotones and effects in black and white, and Scotsman had a horrible time coloring it because of the way it was not meant to be colored in the initial art. So I didn't want to do that, and it delayed the production on the book almost a whole year. And
well, there was other problems with that.
No, but I mean, we watched Scotsman color it every day, and it wasn't done for a long time. I mean, it did take him a significant amount of time to finish it because of the workarounds he had to do with the way the art had come in that was made specifically for black and white. So I wanted to avoid that and just kind of stick to my guns and be like, this is meant to look like this. Like, let's just go with it like that.
All right. Okay. All right. Try to talk you into it, but I understand.
Well, and you got to understand that opens up by not doing variant covers, right? And by not having it colored, that opens up budget money, right? because you'd have to pay whatever X amount of dollars per variant cover to get it drawn, then inked, then colored, right? So I took all that money for those things that are usually on projects and kind of directed that over to have a video game made and to have an action figure made. Right. So it's kind of choose what you can do with what you got, and kind of make cuts.
Yeah, I have those concerns. As well. So I totally understand. Luckily, my artist, the colorist for my artist, lives right across the room from him, and holding their baby. So, so it's
women are notoriously qualified to be colorists. At the beginning of Comicsgate, I had my wife try to color, and she did very good at it. It takes a lot of hours, but I think their makeup blending skills and contouring that they do every day when they put their face on translates really well into the space of knowing palettes and knowing contouring and those type of skills. So yeah, women are notoriously good colorists.
Yeah. Well, she learned from the guy who colored Company Men.
Okay.
She was mentored by him, so she has a lot of those same. She colors ambient light like you would not believe. Not necessarily the light that's on that's like shining, but what it's reflecting off of. And she even gets the light from the back side of it. She's really a genius. Loved having her on my project. So.
I'm actually colorblind, so whenever the pages come, I have to have my wife judge them, or I usually just rely on the colorist, because they're qualified for, to know if it's going to look good or not.
But I got you. I got you. Well, that's pretty much all I have for the day. I just enjoyed the conversation, man. Let me ask you a question. Where do those negotiation skills come from? I think that's a question.
I have 3 children, so
3 children. So that was what that was from.
Eating all the time. Who did this? Where were you that day? What was going on? Who, and that was just dad. I was dad.
Because it looked like kind of like Perry Mason in there, just coming in there like it was really, really dramatic. You kind of made the legendary status there. There's a few moments in Comicsgate that kind of like get repeated over and over again. That's probably going to be one for a while. So yeah,
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and we'll end right here. And you have anything else to add before we go?
No, thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be interviewed. Sure. I heard some of the other people you interviewed, and man, to be among creators like that is an honor. So thanks for inviting me.
Right. I'm shocked that anybody wants to talk to me, so I'm happy with anybody talks to me. Anyway, I'm gonna have in the links below. I'm gonna have the Tyger Blue campaign. It's gonna be in the links below. Your website for retro something gaming.
Retrographic books.
Retrographic books. Okay, I didn't remember the G. I can't remember the G. Retrographic books is going to be there. Your Twitter and anything else needs to be there. We'll put it there. Anyway, so thank you, Mr. Fowler, for coming. Thank you for. There's going to be a live chat when this goes live. If you have time, this is going to be 8:00 Saturday night. I usually engage with people in the chat. Funny thing is they don't seem to remember this is pre-recorded, so they like try to talk to the screen, and I'm like, no, I'm over here. It's pre-recorded.
Well, I'll just hail the chat now and say, what's up, chat? I see you there, Mo. I see you, Snuggy Jr. I see you, B-Wag. I see you, Dojo Kun. I see
not
you.
Quite that crowd. Not quite that crowd.
Oh, you got it. Right. Hell, bow, all that.
All right. Hell, bow, everybody. Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. And this has been Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics and Mr. Matthew Fowler. And so Y'all have a good night.